What is happening with my hair? I look like a freaking mad scientist right now. Hello everybody, what is happening? God, it's been a bit of a hot minute since I released a video. All sorts of life stuff has just been happening, but I'm back here today. I'm back in the listening room, which you all got a tour of in my Undertow video, which is the last one I did. Links in the description if you want to watch it. I enjoyed the album. I'll be doing more Tool albums in the future. Well, like all of the two releases that I have left to listen to, but I'll definitely be doing that. But what we're doing today is actually not a Tool video. We are doing another installment of the Random Album series. If you don't know how this works, check out past videos on it. I've done 2 so far. Basically, to give you the rundown, I have this chart of albums from all different genres, which you should see on your screen right now. I'll be using a random number generator to pick any row of this chart and then any album from that row. So I could get an album from any genre, any level of fame or personal experience. Some of these albums I have heard parts of, like obviously the Beatles albums on here that I haven't heard in full, but the vast, overwhelming majority of them I have not heard a note of. And some of them are obviously on the more, world-renowned, famous side. Some are really obscure, so if you know of them already, you'll be watching me react to probably one of your favourite albums. And if you don't know it already, we'll be going on a journey together. So there's something in it for everybody. Least of all me, because this shit terrifies me. I've been thinking about what I want to hear today. I got a metal album last time, which I sort of liked. There were bits I liked, as the Vector album. Check it out, it's on my channel. But I found it a bit too repetitive, a bit too monotonous, and pretty damn exhausting by the end. So I'm probably not in the mood for any ultra technical metal like that again, but other than that, I'll take anything. I mean, I'll take an electronic album. Some classic rock might be nice today. It's a sort of cloudy day outside right now, so any album that fits that mood, but otherwise, I'm pretty open. Alright, so as you can see on your screen right now, I have my trusty random number generator loaded up here. I've put in numbers from 1 to 35, which corresponds to the rows that I haven't listened to on this chart, which is pretty much all of them except for these essential albums up the top. I could get any album on this chart, I could get any row on this chart, I could get any genre on this chart, so I'm really in the dark here, but I just say we do it without further ado. Okay, the genre and row of album that I will be listening to today and reacting to is 26. I do not know what row that is, or genre. Hold on. 35, 34, 33, 32, 31, 30. I can't count, jeez. 29, 28, 27, 26. Is that it? 26. Alright, here we go. So we're in the electronic part of the chart, which I'm quite glad about. I was hoping sort of for an electronic album. I've been really into a lot of beat-heavy music recently. Like the Fortet, Burial, that sort of thing. And there's a Burial album on this row. It's the only one I've listened to on this row. So I have 11 unlistened to albums. A lot of them seem to be pretty obscure, or more on the obscure side of electronic. I mean, I see Chemical Brothers, who I don't really know that well. I recognise that Venetian Snares album. Other than that, though, I don't know if I could tell you anything about these other albums. Oh, that's an Arca album. Yeah, that cover freaking terrifies me, so I know that one very well. But yeah, other than that, I'll be going in pretty much completely blind to anything except maybe that Venetian Snares album. So I'm excited for this. I'm certainly more excited than I was for the metal row last week, so let's just do it. Looks like we have 1 to 11. Not 112. Alright, the album that I will be listening to today is, drumroll, number 8. It's number 8, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wow, okay, I got the Venetian Snares album. Okay, this is sick. I think I'm going to like this one. I've heard one track on it ages ago. Like, ages ago. But I remember it was really cool. I know the whole aesthetic behind the Venetian Snares album. It has some long Polish title or something, doesn't it? Yeah, I think so. I'm guessing that's Polish anyway. But I know the whole aesthetic behind the Venetian Snares album is that it mixes these harsh acerbic break beats with this more delicate string section, which is just such a clever idea in concept. So that's all I know about it, pretty much that, and I think the first couple tracks, I have some vague recollection of hearing. Other than that, I haven't heard any of the other tracks, so I'll be going in more or less blind, and again, that's a good thing. Alright, I'm pumped. I'm super pumped. I have the album loaded up here on my Tidal app. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the title of the album or any of the track names, or maybe I will, and I'll probably get 50,000 complaints in the comments for butchering Polish words, so depends how much of a death wish I have. But it's 11 tracks long, all of which have these Polish titles. Quite differing track lengths. I mean, I see, some 7-8 minute long tracks, especially on the back half of the album, but I also see some 1 minute long interlude-ish things, which, I mean, I have plenty of experience with interludes thanks to Tool now, but so that'll be interesting to listen to. It's probably good that interludes on an album like this, because if the album is mostly in the mode that I think it is, which is the mode of the first, the second track, I think, is the one I know from ages ago. If most of the album's in that mode, I think it's nice to have some tracks to break it up a bit, That's probably my main worry going this, is that it'll be exhausting to hear, just breakbeat after breakbeat after breakbeat, track after track after track. So I'd be interested to see how Venetian Snares, who, by the way, I don't know where Venetian Snares is from, and don't know his nationality at all. I think it's one guy, isn't it? I don't think it's a band, even though the title's plural. The name, rather, is plural. But, I'll be hoping that, Venetian Snares mixes up a bit across the album. I mean, it'll certainly be fun if it's just the same sort of breakbeat formula track after track, but it'll probably get a bit tiring. Or maybe not. Maybe he'll just be that good at it that it won't. So, I don't know. I'm just speaking out of my ass now at this point. There's no point speculating further. I'm pumped. This album is called... Alright, I'm going to make the complaint bait here. I'm going to make the complaint bait statement. This album is called Rossz Csillag Alatt Született. I'm just going to go with that. It's 11 tracks long. The first track is called Sikertelenség. I'm just going to say that. It's 40 seconds long, so this is just a short little introduction to the album, I'm guessing. Let's get into it. This is Venetian Snares. This is the unpronounceable album. Let's go. Track 1. I might have to adjust the volume because I know this is quite... I was about to say quite loud, but it doesn't sound like it. Oh, yeah, there's some dissonance for you. I've heard enough garbage albums, 0 out of 10. No, but seriously, I don't actually remember the album starting like that. For some reason, I thought it started with a string interlude or something. Maybe that's the next track, which is called Setlen. That. But yeah, obviously, not much to say about that. That was a fairly unnerving, pretty dissonant way to start off the album. I think that does put you in the right mindset for the album, because that wasn't pretty at all, and you associate a lot of piano intros and things to be more in that modern classical vein of quite soothing sounding, but that was not soothing at all. That was jarring, that was discordant, which I'm guessing is going to be a pretty apt metaphor for the rest of the track list. So thematically, that worked quite well, and I'm going to see if the aesthetic promise, quote unquote, of that track is matched by the other ones. So we're going to do track 2 now. The album is starting proper. That track, track 2. It's 4 minutes 56 long. Alright, I'm ready to be pummeled with both volume and beats. Let's go. Ooh. It sounds like a horror movie soundtrack, you know, when the like monsters crawling along the floorboards. Oh, wow, good arrangement. Did he record this live? Nah, it's edited. Oh, this is so unnerving. I'm ready for it. Alright, wow. That's quite cool because normally this sort of breakbeat heavy electronic music is in a very rigid 4/4, so it's cool to see someone step outside the mold a bit. I mean, it's not like you'd expect adhering to conventions from an album like this. It's pretty unconventional as it stands, but it's cool. It's cool to hear those different like styles and genres blending. I've heard this track, but I never actually like consciously picked it apart. Oh, I love the editing on this song. Whoa! Oh my god, that bass just pulls it apart so nicely. Ooh. Oh my god, this guy's talented at what he does. Seriously, wow. Is this free time or just a really weird 7/8? Beyond the string section, just crazy. seriously. Wow. Okay. Hats off to Venetian Snares. That man is just one of the most incredible producers I think I've ever heard. Wow, the amount of it's hard to know even where to begin with a track like that. I mean, because there's just so much going on in the mix and so much crazy stuff happening in the editing that it's the sort of track you want to just like dive into and pull apart bit by bit. Wow, incredible. And as I said, I have heard that track before ages ago. I have heard that track before, but I haven't like consciously listened to a lot of the things and, you know, got in there and pulled it apart. So I'm going to try and be doing a summarized version of that to explain like why I love that so much. Firstly, that drum editing, wow. Yeah, it's obviously because they're all live drum sounds. Again, as a drummer, I know you can sort of hear it. Those are live recorded drum sounds. So it sounds like maybe he or someone else, like originally maybe performed a break beat over that, and then Venetian Snares just went in and tore the whole drum part limb for limb, and just reassembled it constantly and like completely anew into this whole different form. This, you know, sort of spastic, crazy, just punishing rhythm that he lays down over that. Again, in 7/8, which is like super strange for electronic music. Like, I don't think, possibly in the past, I don't think I've heard any electronic music like this go outside of 4/4 at the most, like at the strangest 3/4, because, you know, the whole thing is in dance music and electronic music is obviously to give the listener a strong backbeat, a strong sense of pulse and rhythm. And here, obviously, the intent is the complete opposite of that, which is what I love. He just completely subverts the electronic music mold that so many people are confined into, and obviously he probably felt confined into, by completely eschewing any sense of a strong, predictable, discerning backbeat and sense of rhythm. Instead, this is just all over the place, and it's meant to, in my mind at least, just completely trip you up and like throw you out the window. And I mean, certainly you probably saw my movements doing that. Like, normally you can just sort of, you know, bop along, headbang, quote unquote, to a lot of electronic music, but with that you can't. That's just completely all over the place. Wow, the way he edited that together was just sublime. Also, man, for some reason I thought that the string parts that were sort of interspersed throughout that whole thing were more, I had a memory that they were like more soothing or something, and obviously that's not the case at all. It's not soothing at all. It's just as chopped up as the drum part is, and pasted together in these all sorts of strange formations that sort of cling on very loosely to the 7/8 feel that is itself being very loosely established by the drums. So, and I mean, the strings, they do have a melodic sensibility. It's a very strange melodic sensibility, but they do definitely have a melodic sensibility that you can sort of latch onto just a little bit, and I think that works extremely well. It's a nice counterpoint to the crazy drum beats and all sorts of glitchy stuff happening in the rest of the track, because in a lot of this heavy breakbeat style music, it's all the drums. Like, it's all the drums that you latch onto. But here you can sort of sit back and appreciate what the strings are doing, and then and all focus in on the drums if you want. And they sort of merge together really nicely. They balance each other out, I think is the word I'm looking for. It also blew me away when the synths came in. I think they were synths in the second half of the track-ish. Man, some of the bass stuff that those synths were doing right at the end there was just crazy. Super well produced, super clear and throaty and distinct in the mix. Really well assembled. Again, adding more nice counterpoints to what the strings, the drums are doing. Just sublime. I have nothing really bad to say about how that track was put together in general. Also, I feel like I'd be remiss not to mention, and I was going to mention this in the drum section, but I forgot. There's this incredible drum cover of this song on YouTube somewhere that I remember seeing a while ago. I think that was part of the reason I became aware of this track, because someone recommended me this drum cover of this song. I was like, look, man, this is just incredible. And I listened to it, and it's just, I remember being so blown away because the drummer, who I'll put a link to in the description, so you can watch. He deserves all the attention that he gets. He like takes that crazy breakbeat stuff and compresses it down into something that he can actually play, and he's just one of the best drummers I've ever seen. Genuinely, it's so mind blowing how he managed to do a drum cover of a song that is like, by definition, pretty much impossible to play on drums. So check out the link in the description. Blows me the hell away. So I think I've ranted and raved enough about track 2 for a day, about how amazing it is. Incredible track and pretty stunning start to the album. So we're going to move on to track 3. This is also marking part 3 of Sam butchering song titles. So track 3 is called Öngyilkos Vasárnap. Öngyilkos Vasárnap. It's 3 minutes 26 long, so a bit shorter than the previous track, but I don't think it's interlude territory or anything. I don't mind if he doesn't switch it up at this point. Honestly, that crazy breakbeat action is just so addictive, and it taps into like pleasure centers in your brain that you don't even know are there. So I'm all there for that. If he keeps doing that for a little bit at least, maybe later in the album I'll hope he does something different, but I don't know, we'll see. No complaints yet. The album is still young, as they say. Track 3, let's go. This is unnerving, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, this is like keyboard work and stuff now. Whoa! Oh, great use of vocal sample, wow. Wow. Messes with the beat so much in this track, wow. Face instead of going under there. Okay, wow. I did not expect that from the second track. The third track rather. I thought it was going to be more in the same mold of track 2, but that could not be more different than track 2 if it tried. Whereas track 2 was abrasive and jolty and sort of more, obviously like breakbeat heavy, those sorts of tropes. That was just dark and menacing and brooding, and that was, again, not something I really expected to hear from this album. That was almost as mellow as this sort of hardcore breakbeat stuff can get. That was like super, super mellow. That was almost, sort of nighttime in a city somewhere, blue fog sort of vibes. That was pretty insane. First of all, that vocal sample that underlay the whole thing, it's not something I thought I'd be hearing from this album at all. Like, I thought, by all accounts, this album was pretty much just strings, drums, those are the two elements. So that added a fantastic hyper melodic element to the track that I didn't expect. I can't tell, that's guessing it's a sample from an old 78 RPM record or something. That's what it sounds like. Sound like English as well, which is quite cool. I thought that complemented the track so well, and I think what he did really well there as well was produce everything so that nothing was jarring and it all sounded like it was underneath this midnight fog. So those drums, for example, that sort of sound, forgive my impromptu beatboxing, but that solid rhythm that underpinned the whole thing with that sort of oscillating wave-like production filter, whatever he adds to it, it's just incredible. It reminded me of almost a Boards of Canada song. It reminded me of a couple of songs, in fact, from Boards of Canada's last album, Tomorrow's Harvest, just in the way those drums are produced. But I mean, I'm pretty sure this predates that by a long way, right? So probably the influence is the other way around. Also, just little moments, like towards the end, how the breakbeats were sort of hinted at just in one bar stretches before the track like went back to that pounding sort of rhythm. That was really fantastic because it sort of jolts you into a position for the track and then just comes right back down into this meditative mood. So just spot on, absolutely spot on. I'm pretty blown away by those first two tracks. I didn't expect to be blown away to the extent I am. And in fact, I think I almost prefer that track to, or the second track, the first full-length track on the album. Just stunning, perfect length, perfect, mood duration for this part of the album. Absolutely spot on. Can't say enough things. And I hope I'll be saying the same thing about the next track, which, okay. Felbomlasztott Mentőkocsi. I'm just going to go with that. That's track 4. It's 3 minutes 45 long, so very similar length to the third one. I'll take anything at this point, as long as it's good, like those first 3 tracks have been, because they've all been in completely different moods and emotional resonances so far. So I don't really hope for any particular genre or style here. So let's just do it. Track 4. That doesn't fit the chord. He loves this crazy harmonic stuff going on here. Ooh. Ooh. Still can't tell if those strings are sequenced or not. Or played on a keyboard. They don't sound like it. It sounds like quite a rich timbre. I feel like this is building something. Oh, the tension created by those string lines is really strong. because that's something that Tool does, I've noticed sometimes as well. They hint at this minor key, quite conventional chordal movement in the strings, and then about on the fourth or fifth chord, throw in something completely outside of convention and outside of where your brain thinks it's going to go chord-wise to throw you off, and that's what creates the tension really well. We're almost halfway through and no breakbeats. I actually like that. First non 7/8 we've had this album so far. Wow, you guys. Wow. This album is developing into something that I'm really liking, guys. I'm really, really liking this so far. It's absurd. So we've had 4 tracks there, the first 4 tracks of an album in a genre which is just famously renowned for being quite homogenous across the course of an album. We've had 4 tracks so far, one of which is a 3-minute long song, which you'd think would be another breakbeat song. And all 4 tracks are in completely different modes. You know, you have the first track, which is all piano, dissonant, discordant, free time stuff. Then you have the second track, which is more conventional breakbeat style, at least in theory, not really in execution. And then you have the third track, which is just moody and hypnotic. And then that track, which is gorgeous, like really, really gorgeous. That harmonic movement is just so strange, and it builds up tension really well, but also, you know, has a more hypnotic effect as well, which just stunning. How I'm guessing that isn't a sample. I'm guessing he through arranged that, through composed that. It's just gorgeous, super gorgeous in the way it's executed, in the way the tension between the tension and the more harmonically pleasing stuff is put together, you know, with the start of that repeated string phrase in a more conventional minor key chordal movement, then being sent into the stratosphere about in the second half of it, with all sorts of strange, like dissonant, perhaps even modal stuff. I'm not sure. That had a fantastic ebb and flow to it, which was really pleasing to my ears. Super pleasing to my ears. And also shout out to the way the song just sort of eddied off into oblivion towards the end. Really fantastic. And, you know, it makes you think it's on the cusp of going somewhere, but then it just fades away, which is super great in subverting expectations. At least for me. That worked so well, that track. I'm a bit lost for words right now about that, because it's hard to sort of phrase exactly why that was so pleasing, but it really was. Yeah, I mean, I'm running out of different compliments to give to an individual track. Like, can you hit me with a bad track or something, please? Because they're easy to talk about. And, you know, I'm all about putting the minimal possible effort that I have to. So let's see if he does that. The next track is very simple to pronounce. Hajnal, something like that. It's track 5, and this is the longest track by far so far, and I think the second longest on the album. It's 7 minutes 46 long. So I'm guessing this will be... I mean, he subverted my expectations for the last track, so I might be wrong, but I'm guessing this will be more breakbeat heavy in the mode that Venetian Snares is more known for. Yeah, what a versatile artist he is, really, so far. Absolutely incredible. So I say we get into it. This is track 5. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, 7/8 again. Love that little line. And this is definitely a live string orchestra. Oh crap. Oh, okay. Thank God. Thought I was gonna get pummeled there. Ooh. Oh, that piano's nice. Nice addition. Oh, whoa. I'm loving how these instruments are playing off each other so far. Ooh. Oh, okay. It's more of a hint of a solid backbeat here, though. That piano work is just gorgeous. Wow. Ooh. Oh, stunning. Amazing how sparse he's keeping the backbeat so far. He's doing things with the music that I would have never thought of in 1,000 years. And the only snare drum sort of more percussive sound indicated in that drum work is sounds like a little what's the instrument called? You know, the percussion instrument that does that. Radiohead uses it on Paranoid Android, that one. Sounds like a little turn of that, or maybe like a clapping stick or something. I don't even know. I mean, it's there, but it's really subtle. So I like how he's not hitting you over the head with it so far. Gorgeous track again. There's a bit of a tenser section here. There we go. Oh, the bass, my God. on. Oops. My God, that bass line. Oops. I accidentally started another track. I was getting too worked up by that. I need to slow down a bit. That bass line that just goes underneath the strings is just sublime. Absolutely sublime. Because now I have to find my way back to where I was in the track originally, so give me a moment. Hold on. I'm just gonna go from there. Let's just say there. Whoa! God. Sounds so good on these speakers here. You guys can't get a sense of it. Nice, just some quite light snare work here. He's possessed by the demon, guys. He's possessed by the devil. Oh, that was solved in such a nice way. I love that. If you couldn't tell. The amount of times in that track that I just said like wow when something new was introduced. I mean, you're probably sick of hearing that word by now. That was just, my God. Breakneck pace for at least the last 4 minutes. Incredibly, really fucked up like beats and production, especially towards the end there, where he just throws all of the elements, like the strings and the drums, bass, synths, whatever's going on, into a blender and just blends them all up and throws them out at the listener like that. The way he works like that is just insane. And I mean, he's so self-aware, and I think this is what a band like, okay, I hate to pick on Vector all the time, but let's say Vector, who I reacted to a little bit back as my second random album in this series. I think that's what bands like Vector need to learn a little bit, because in my opinion, this is just my opinion, again, the parts I really liked of that Vector album, but in my opinion, what creates energy in music, and if an album's shooting for an energetic feel, I think what creates energy is variation, right? So I don't think, in my opinion, for example, that if you have an album that is at like 100 pretty much the whole length throughout, I don't think that creates energy. I think that just exhausts you, in my opinion anyway. So I think you need a ton of variation. You need softer moments, you need delicate moments, and then you need moments where all of that energy from that you would otherwise, spread out across the whole album is compacted into a tiny little section, and then just throw it at the listener. And that's when you can make the listener go crazy and just be like spellbound by your music. I think Venetian Snares has a really just integral and inherent understanding of how to get an audience to just like be at the edge of their seats the whole time. Like, I didn't expect a single thing that was coming on that entire track. You don't know what's coming from each bar to bar. And sometimes I use that criticism as a bad thing. I think some albums, especially on the quiet end of the spectrum, need more consistency. But this, just like, you don't know what's coming at you in the next bar. And then when it comes at you, you're just like, oh my God, I didn't see that coming. Absolutely stunningly written from, again, that quite a first section with the sort of more lightly tapped drum stuff, which makes you sort of think the track's going to continue that mode for the whole thing, like the track before it. And then in the second half, just exploding into this absolute maelstrom of chaos created by the drums and, my God, the synth work. Absolutely insane synth work. And the bass, and just there are so many things to rave about in that track. So many things to rave about in the track. The bass line, the strings parts, the piano part at the beginning, which was played really well and provided almost a call and response with the strings, I noticed at the beginning. From all of that to even just the little moments towards the end there, like the stops and the more consistent breaks, just put together like, this is such a cliche, but like put together like Michelangelo would put together a sculpture, or like, I've got, what's another good art metaphor? Like Monet would paint something. That was the shittiest art metaphor of all time. I'm sorry. The point is that was put together so well that you can tell this is the brain of a genius doing this. Absolute brain of a genius doing this. And that was just, God, how incredible a track that was. I would never thought I would have said this, but like, we're 5 tracks in and each track has done something almost completely different, almost completely off the wall. And I have no idea what's coming next on a breakbeat album or an electronic album, full stop. That is not something you can say about most electronic albums. So absolutely spot on. Truly sublime. Okay, track 6 is a shorter track. It's an interlude, so I'm guessing more crazy string stuff. It's fairly easy to pronounce. Galamb Egyedül. Galamb Egyedül. 1 minute 30 long. 1 minute 37 actually. Just hit it. Just go. Whew. Guitar, wow, okay. 6/4. 3/4 probably. Guitars put in there. Piano providing the bass line too is cool. Yeah, no, that was really pretty, really pretty. 3/4, which is pretty much the only other time signature this album's done, except for 7/8, 7/4 so far. I liked that repeating string ostinato that continued it through the whole thing. It sounded like a live orchestra played that as a little phase of maybe a larger piece, and then Venetian Snares isolated and looped it, because you could hear that sort of tapered off towards the end. So that was quite clever in execution. The piano bass line was really simple. It was just 3 notes, a boom, 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 or something like that. Yeah, really simple and effective in execution. Quite limited chord movement too. It was I think only 2 chords, or maybe 3. I don't know. I can't remember. So it was probably the most repetitive track so far, and it's only 1:30, and I think it really worked for that. And I mean, the other element to talk about is the guitar, which is really sparse in the mix. Not a whole lot to the part, but it's something you didn't expect to hear from that album, in my opinion. Like, I think that's the first guitar in the mix so far, right? So it's just simple electric guitar chords, really effectively deployed. Again, it's one of those things he does so well, where he introduces this element to just sort of slice through the mix in a really gorgeous way. Yeah, that was that track. 6 tracks and not a single dud so far. How incredible is that? How incredible is that? Wow. So all he needs to do is just like loosely hold the fort for the last 5 tracks, right? And it's close to a perfect album for me, pretty much. I mean, I sort of learned the hard way with Undertow, the Tool album, that a lot of albums get quite front-loaded, and a lot of artists have problems with that. But we'll see if this album has the same problem. I surely hope not. Track 7 is called Második Galamb. Galamb is, I don't know what that word means, but it's using these 2 tracks next to each other. So this is 6 minutes long, so I'm assuming we're back in the world break beats, all sorts of crazy editing and stuff going on, and I'm really looking forward to it. 6 minutes, so shorter than Hajnal. Let's go. Let's do it.
It's just
Whoa.
a pigeon looking for its nest. It doesn't know that it's wild. It doesn't know that it scares me. Why am I frightened so easily?
Oh, are there
Pigeon, why can you scare me?
they're pigeons on the
Am
album
I
cover.
not part of your life anymore?
Clever.
Am I not welcome anymore?
No, I don't think. Whoa! I'm gonna say something sassy in those. Okay, much tighter snare sound or something. Ooh, yeah. Oh. Is this 7/4? I can't work out if it's 7/4. I'm not gonna try. Okay, it's flutes. Wow. Oh, bass. Oh my god, when he does that synth bass. God, this is so unnerving.
Am I not part of your life?
Heavier this time, yeah. Never heard that on one of these tracks. Yeah.
Pigeon.
Oh my god! Oh, okay, I'm just gonna pause this for a sec because I need to check my recording quality to make sure that like my voice isn't getting literally overpowered by that wall of synths. So I'll be back in a sec. But I'm all good. I'm all fun good. Fuck yeah, let's get into it. Oh my god! Oh, stupid ball panel. Oh my god. That just the way that started off in the, just with really like light break beats, super light break beats. They just got progressively heavier. The strings and the brass and whatever, nice addition by the way, the brass, the flutes. Just got like slowly lowering the mix until that last 2 minutes. That fell over as well. Wow. Stop it. Anyway, that last 2 minutes as well, just like turned into a literally a power electronic section. That is just, oh my god, when that first like it devolved into what it did, I was just like, my brain could not keep up with what was happening there. Like that was easily, of course, the harshest track so far. I don't think that's in contention rather. Easily the harshest track so far, and like, my god, one of the most cathartic. That was mind blowing. It sounds like I'm throwing in a lot of hyperbole for this album in particular, but just the amount of visceral reactions I've had to this, and you know, I've had visceral reactions to albums on this channel before, songs of pretty much every album there's been one or two moments at least, but this whole album is like one big mind-blowing visceral raw moment. And that doesn't mean that it doesn't have quiet sections. It very much does. Half the album pretty much so far has been in a quieter mode, but my god, this is just like a million like synapses just firing off at once. Just logical thoughts escaping me, guys. It's hard to describe how incredible that end section was. Just so hard to describe. That has been quite a journey through that track. Yeah, I'm a little bit lost for words, and again, all these reactions are genuine. Like, I'm not literally not putting this on. This is what some music does to me. Oh god, we're gonna have to. How are they gonna follow that up? How is he following that up? He's gonna follow it up with Szamár Madár, which is 5 minutes 49 long. So probably similarly a breakbeat-ish track. I do not envy him having to put anything, especially after that ending there, the last 2 minutes. I do not envy him having to find something to put after that. So let's see what he does, I guess. Track 8, Szamár Madár. Let's go. Jeez Louise. Oh my god. It's like some movie sound. I love the reverb on that. It's like bits of an orchestra like chopped up and just reverbed to hell. I feel like I'm in a Saw movie. Whoa. Okay, this is the most jump scary track so far, that's for sure. Okay, I like that. Two minutes in and we don't have a drum beat or anything. Oh yeah, there it is. Different percussion stuff happening. dramatic, tense. That little melody. Yeah, okay. That was Samar Madar. Good stuff. Really, really good stuff. I mean, not as, it didn't have like a singular wow moment. Maybe the end bit there, actually, that melody was a pretty wow moment. But it didn't have a single, definitive, huge moment like many of the other tracks did. Or in the case of a couple of the other tracks, the track wasn't one big, huge wow moment. But it just did what Venetian Snares does best, I think. And again, while still, he's not content to repeat himself on this album at all, you can tell. This track was much more, it sounded much more cinematic to my ears. You went back to that sort of minor key string part with more conventional movement, quite really dramatic sounding, particularly with the introduction of that opera singer towards the end. Gorgeous little addition. And the breakbeat, I don't think on that was as big or as cathartic, certainly, maybe as some of the other tracks, but it had its place. There wasn't too much of it, which is good. I think there was probably only on that whole track maybe like 2.5 minutes where drums were actually a big part of the song. So as I predicted, it was damn hard to follow the track 7. Maybe if that was early in the album, I'd be more glowing about it, certainly, but as it stood though, that was pretty strong. That was a pretty strong track, and I don't really have any complaints about it, rather, other than it's not perhaps as strong as some of the other tracks. But it's still good, still just classic Venetian Snares breakbeat stuff. Great strings. In fact, I think the strings in that track were probably some of the best on the album so far. And that little melody towards the end, gorgeous, spot on. So I liked that track quite a bit. We're moving on to a shorter track, a little interlude here. It's called Hiszékeny. I'm not sure. This is gonna be quite cringeworthy listening to myself try and pronounce these track titles. It's 1 minute 39 long, so I'm guessing it's more orchestral, sort of stringy goodness. Let's hear it. Ooh. Oh my god. We're watching like a Google commercial or something? Ooh, lovely. Wow. Oh wow, okay. What are the instruments? I hear it almost sounds like some chimes. Maybe I think there's a glockenspiel in there, maybe a marimba or something, and then the strings have just come in. Fantastic conglomeration of instruments there. Maybe a little thumb piano as well, and a harp. A harp is missing. Yes, 7/8. Yeah. Oh no, it's actually 5/4. Wow. Oh, it's gone major key. That's pretty. intros. We out here in a Google commercial. Best damn Google commercial I've ever heard, though. That was actually like incredible. That was the prettiest moment on the album by far, I'd say. Just how those different sort of percussive instruments, like, as I said, you know, thumb pianos and harps and the strings, of course, and, you know, glockenspiel, chimes sort of thing all came together and interlocked in this mesh of beautiful notes. Beautiful, beautiful notes. That track just, it sizzled, it sparkled, I think is the best way to describe it. Wow, man, that was gorgeous. Yeah, wow. Really, really gorgeous. I wish he'd done a whole track of that. In fact, I think if he did that as a whole track, he could have like done some cool breakbeat stuff over that even. Oh man, I'm a bit, again, like clumsy with my words here because I didn't expect to hear that from a Venetian Snares album at all. That was a moment of, it was like the sun coming through the clouds after, you know, the thunderstorm that is the rest of the album, and the fogginess of some parts, the lightning of others. That was like the sun coming through and maybe a rainbow forming. It's probably all for naught because we still have 2 more tracks left, and who knows what sort of crazy things that'll deploy on us. But I think that just harkens back to exactly what I was saying about how for an album to be super energetic and keep you on the edge of your seat, it needs to have variety and it needs to change itself up, I think, a fair bit, and only deploy the heaviness in very carefully selected sections. And I think he decided that was a section where he was not going to deploy that and just give the listener a reprieve, complete reprieve. And I think it worked so well because if you didn't know that was a Venetian Snares album, there would be no way, maybe apart from the 5/4, but other than that, there would be no way you'd be able to guess that that was made by a man that typically does these crazy breakbeat tracks on other albums. And it's moments like that just make the heavier moments so much heavier and so much harder hitting. Wow. So after that little fanfare, which was just gorgeous, one of the highlights so far, I'd say. Hiszékeny, yeah. Oh man, we're on the 10th track, and this is a mammoth. This is the Goliath, and this is like the boss battle. We're about to go in the boss battle of this album. It's called Kétsarkú Mozgalom. I might have almost got that right. Yeah, it's 8 minutes 50 long. Man, this is gonna be, I presume I'm gonna get pummeled in this track. I feel like this is gonna be a heavy one. I can just feel it in my bones. So I'm ready for it. I mean, if you put a track as delicate as track 9 before it, I think that's what I have to be ready for. So I'm ready for it. Let's go. Fight me, Venetian Snares. Track 10. Kétsarkú Mozgalom. Tension already. Ooh. Whoa! Whoa! Seven, 8 pad, I guess. Okay, timpani. But it has hints of sadness in it for me. He's a man of contrast. Whoa! Oh, perfect percussion way to start the track. God damn. Ooh! Oh, bass. Whoa! Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I love what he's doing with the drums on this one. That little percussion loop. Oh my god. Can't even give commentary on this. The production on this album, part of the reason why it's so great in the mixing is that the percussive sounds in the breakbeat are like really treble heavy, and then the lows of the bass are really low, and then it frees up that whole middle section in the middle for the strings to fill in. So each little component has its own little room in the frequency spectrum, frequency graph to fit in. So that's why nothing sounds too overpowering and too harsh, even though the music is by definition, like, in many cases, as harsh as you can get and as punishing as you can get. So I'm just loving this so far. Like that, the bass, so rich. The double bass, I think. Whoa. We've got like ocean sounds coming up.
I used to understand happy. I know that I used to be happy. I was really happy. I'm unhappy now and I can't remember what it's like to be happy. I only remember...
I remember what?
I don't remember.
That's an unnerving sample.
I remember being happy only in comparison to not being happy, which is what I am now.
Oh. Oh, I love that. Just slight white noise in the background. Funny, 7/8's quite an unusual time signature by modern music standards, but it's funny when you listen to this album enough, you end up like thinking and moving in 7/8 after a while, and those sort of turns just become natural. Like, I can't imagine stupid basic 4/4 ever again. Yeah. Oh wow, the strings have been replaced with some synthetic pads. It's kind of sad. Oh my god! This is kind of pretty, and I never thought I'd be saying this about a hardcore breakbeat track. Was it just me, or was that like kind of a sad track? Oh, that was like genuinely quite a melancholy. I don't want to say depressing, because I think that word is way overused in music, but that was a sad, melancholy, and downcast track. In my opinion, I was sort of, as I was listening to that, I was just like sitting back, and in my mind, the music just like weaved this sort of sonic tapestry, this rich sort of singular unifying texture of like someone or a brain or a mind or something that's in the process of just breaking down. Especially with those vocal samples interspersed throughout the whole thing that were like really sad, talking about someone that has no frame of reference for being happy, because they haven't been happy for so long. I don't know if I'm reading into this too much, and I don't want to like overlay some deeper than necessary interpretation or meaning onto a track that it probably might not even be the intent of Venetian Snares to convey a lot of these things. But I almost like hear in that track, am I being too, I don't know if I'm being too pretentious or anything with this, but I hear a mind that's the story of a mind and a person that is just like going through the worst turmoil of their lives internally, like the worst period of their lives, and their brain just becoming this like jumbled mess of feelings that just like ricochet from place to place until they don't know what the normal is anymore. I hear, in essence, I really hear like that's a song about depression, I think, in my mind. And I don't want to go on too much of a tangent about this. I've never suffered from depression. I have friends that have, and of course millions, possibly like billions across the world have and do. And I think from what I've heard as someone, again, with friends with depression, that sort of not convoluted, what's the word I'm looking for? That sort of lack of a feeling of consistency and of a solid underpinning of self, or like a perception of one's own worth in the world. Without that solid underpinning, your world is just thrown into a total sense of like chaos and uncertainty. And I know a lot of people with anxiety and depression have that sense. And I don't think, if that's what he was trying to communicate in the music, especially towards the end there with the insane editing, the crazy electronic stuff going on, you know, even the warbling synths and stuff around the middle, if that's what he was trying to convey with the track, it didn't come across as trite or kitsch or anything. I think that was really powerful. I think the music, I've never heard a more cathartic and even solemn, downright solemn expression of that in music ever. Like, that's genuinely how good that was for me. And as I said, I mean, it was like hard to sort of really like, I mean, of course I could have headbanged to that. Like, there's just some of the most brutal and like punishing beats on the album and instrumental moments on the album was towards the end there. And I could have headbanged along to that, but there was such a solemn undertone to that track, I think. I picked it at the beginning with that string lead that went through pretty much the whole thing. Had a lot of hints of melancholy in it, in my mind, and that was, of course, conveyed further by the vocal sample, then conveyed further by the totally disjointed, disconnected ending. And all of that led to that solemn mood, which made me feel like it was sort of wrong to headbang to that. Like, I felt like I just wanted to sit back and let that wash over me as sort of a concept track, despite being not really avant-garde in like the formless avant-garde sense in the slightest. Just wow, just incredible, guys. This album is, it's just like 50,000 times better than I thought it'd be, and also 50,000 times deeper and more rich in meaning, in instrumental palette, in production, just everything. Amazing. All right, track 11 is 2 minutes 16 long, so I'm guessing this will be a purely drumless, whatever. I used to call them interludes, but you can't have an interlude at the end of an album, so it'll be probably a drumless track. It's called Senki Dala. Easy one to pronounce, probably actually the easiest one so far. Yeah, I mean, that previous track worked as a finale so well, so I don't blame him for not trying to follow that up with something else. Let's just go with it. Track 11. Let's close this out. Every track's had a new instrument. This is acoustic guitar. Sounds like an echo effect. Oh, that sounds like a thumb piano again, or something. I have to give this album a standing ovation. I'm sorry. Alright, Venetian Snares. The album that I'm not even going to try and pronounce again. You've already heard me attempt it once. The best album I've had the pleasure to listen to so far in this whole YouTube channel that I've started. The best album that I've had the pleasure to listen to, bar none. You know, I think every album that I've listened to so far pretty much has subverted my expectations in some way, no matter how big or small. I mean, like the Tool albums, for example, I think they all had little moments that subverted my expectations. Lateralis had some quite pretty moments, which I loved. Anima, I didn't expect to be as, I guess, pop heavy as I thought it'd be. You know, you could go through every album like that. Like Far East Suite, I didn't think would treat Middle Eastern and Asian music with the respect and reverence that it deserved, but it did. That was another great album, really fantastic album. So yeah, every album I've listened to has subverted my expectations, blown me away in some way, big or small. The way that this subverted my expectations, though, is probably the biggest of any of those albums. I thought coming into this album, what I was expecting was an album, because I'd only been familiar with the first two tracks, so that little instrumental thing at the beginning, then the second track, and what I was expecting was, and that's a great track, and what I was expecting was an album sort of in that mold for pretty much the whole thing, save a couple interludes, you know, the quite simple emotional moods in terms of just like all there is tension, which is pretty much the first couple tracks are purely just tension. So I expected the rest of the album to continue in that, maybe a couple softer moments in the interludes, but otherwise I was just expecting, you know, breakbeat after breakbeat after breakbeat, and writing the album out. And to be honest, I'll admit I did think that would get tiring towards the end. I thought if the album did continue in that mode for the whole thing, it'd be like, yeah, alright, fine, but it wouldn't be one of my favourite albums. And like the Vector album, I'd probably get exhausted. That, though, was just such an emotionally resonant and textured album, which is the complete opposite of what I expected. And I'm almost giddy talking about that because I just love it when an album, you know, takes all of my preconceptions and just throws them against the wall. And I know that second track is the favourite track and it's the most famous one I know, but peel back the layers and there's just so much emotionally rich material going on below the surface here. It's just gorgeous. The amount of emotional wavelengths and resonances that album carries is just spot on. Absolutely spot on. I mean, the last thing I expected in a breakbeat album is to be like sitting back on the verge of tears, like, come on. And that's without even mentioning once the production, and this is where we can go into just more like carefree fun mode. How fucking amazing is he as a producer? I've heard few albums in my life that not only vary in production from track to track, but like within the track just go through so many incredible iterations. Like you feel like each of these tracks, especially the longer ones, I can't imagine how much time he must have spent assembling those, you know, from the disparate little chunks of strings that he throws in there, all sorts of instruments, like you hear guitar in some places, you hear horns in other places, even vocal samples, which blew me away when they popped up. It's unimaginable how much time he would have had to have spent editing all of that together. And what it makes for is an album that, as I said, is so texturally dense and layered, with frequencies ranging from like the highest of highs in those distorted, mangled, chewed up breakbeats to the lowest of the lows in terms of that deep subby bass that was like rocking the floor in this room. Absolutely incredible. The way his approach to production just flows across the entire album. And speaking of those breakbeats, my God, I'm raving and ranting and raving a little bit. But for the most part, maybe one track accepted. We'll get to that. Those breakbeats were just like exceptional, and they each had a different sort of sonic character between each track, which I didn't expect at all. Some were more boomy and bass heavy. Some were more trebly, more tinny. and it means that each track was lent its own sort of sonic character and its own songwriting sort of aesthetic, which is just a sublime little change. So honestly, massive kudos to him for doing what he does, because I think he chose the right line of work. I think Venetian Snares, I'm glad he didn't become an accountant or something. I think he chose the right line of work in production. I think just looking at the track list now, and I know this track has a lot of fans. I'm guessing it would anyway. I mean, Venetian Snares has quite a cult following. The only track I wasn't really as big on was track 8, I think. Yes, Szamár Madár. Which, I mean, it had a more cinematic sound, and I appreciated that. The breakbeats were fine, but I don't think it brought too much new to the album that wasn't already there. And I think it also could have been cut without being a detriment to the album whatsoever, which is, I think, the only track on this album where that's an applicable thing to say. Without that, I think this album could have been a 10 out of 10, but honestly, it's splitting hairs, honestly. It was a fine track. It was a perfectly good track, and I mean, the rest of the album was so mind-blowing that it manages to easily keep up and overtake that. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed watching me react to this. If you enjoyed watching this, even a fraction of how much I enjoyed listening to this freaking amazing album, that's all I really want out of this. That's all I care about. So if you did enjoy this, subscribe to my channel. You'll be getting plenty more of these videos. I'll probably have a tool one next, or maybe some other feature. We'll see. Hit the like button, turn notifications on, etc., etc. Let me know in the comments any feedback you have for me, any albums you want me to check out in the future, or just any comments on like this album or any album that I've reacted to so far. I mean, talking about music is obviously one of my greatest passions, else I wouldn't be doing this. So leave any thoughts you have in the comments at all, or email me, follow me on Instagram, and I'll respond to pretty much everything. So do all that good stuff. A huge thank you for watching this. I value you guys so much that you're actually watching me doing my hobby pretty much, which is like a dream come true, honestly. So thank you so much for watching this. I'll see you in the next video. Venetian Snares fucking rules. See ya.